Since 2018, Nintendo has released one retro console library yearly onto Nintendo Switch Online. However, this year, we were totally missing any such announcement. There's a ton of speculation about Game Boy and even GameCube games coming to Switch, and the lack of a current online announcement could mean that Nintendo is building something bigger for the future. So hey guys, this is PJ from the Switch Stop, and this is the real significance behind Nintendo's lack of a Switch Online update for 2022. So first off, let's start with some consoles I think that we'll see sometime in the future, starting off here with the Game Boy family. Now, there were a ton of rumors at the beginning of this year saying that Nintendo could be working on a Game Boy Advance emulator for obviously Nintendo Switch Online. And with the Game Boy family being the next line of consoles ready for Switch Online, why are they not released yet? Now, this could be taking a bit long because they would be doing all three Game Boy consoles. They could maybe release it all at once, which would be super sick, by the way. But I just can't see them doing like one Game Boy at once because I feel like the library from the earlier Game Boy are not enough to justify that big price jump for the expansion pack. So I think definitely they're going to want to release all three. However, what I'm most excited for when talking about Game Boy Online has to be Game Boy Advance. And when I think of the GBA, it has to be Pokemon right away. I'm talking about Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and Fire Red and Leaf Green. And a function in that game is you actually had to use a link cable back in the old days to trade Pokemon between different Game Boys. So obviously now in modern 2022, where this isn't an issue anymore, what if within the online service you could not only trade Pokemon to your friends, but what if there was also Pokemon Bank compatibility, so where you could catch Pokemon obviously in these respective games and transfer them to Pokemon Bank? Now, I think this would be so sick and a huge pull for me to buy the expansion pack because in the past I've had a bit of a controversial opinion about it, but Nintendo needs to do this. Moving on here to one of my favorite consoles of all time, the Nintendo GameCube. Now, let me just say, if Nintendo adds GameCube to Switch Online, we have to have this iconic intro. I mean, come on, it would be a total upset if it wasn't there. Now, the GameCube for me still is one of the most underrated gaming consoles, period, of all time. I mean, you have Smash Bros. Melee, The Wind Waker, Mario Sunshine, Mario Kart Double Dash, I mean, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. It's just a great console. And going back to Smash Melee in specific, in the most recent Direct, we actually got an announcement that Goldeneye would be coming to N64 Online and it would have online capability. Now, why is this important? Back during the pandemic in 2020, the Big House, which is a huge tournament for Smash Bros, was actually sent a cease and desist letter by Nintendo themselves because they were using a program called Slippy, which allows for players to online matchmake for Melee. And the Melee competitive community is still huge to this day. So with Goldeneye getting online support, could Super Smash Bros. Melee also get that same treatment? I mean, we obviously know that Nintendo does not like Slippy whatsoever, so why not embrace it and allow players to play each other online in Smash Bros. Melee? I mean, if Nintendo doesn't do this, it has to be one of their biggest missed opportunities, and they've been neglectful to the Melee community for a long time due to them obviously wanting the most recent Smash game to be played a lot, but that could definitely be one of the biggest pulls for GameCube Online for sure. Be sure to leave a like and comment down below if you like this idea, because honestly, I think it could be pretty crazy if Nintendo just took advantage of the fact that people want to play Melee still. Why not profit off it? Moving on here, we have the DS. Now, this is an interesting one because the DS was a bit of a unique console, obviously having dual screens as the name entails. And with the Switch being a hybrid console, how would this even work? Now, there's a few obvious ideas in my opinion with there being just the two screens on, the TV at the same time, whether that be landscape or portrait. I just don't think that's very pleasing to look at. Like, it's obviously not how the DS was supposed to be played even. And with the touchscreen compatibilities, I'm not sure how this would even work, because with games like Pokemon where, the touchscreen is not really reliant, you basically just use it to fight. However, games like Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story heavily rely on the touchscreen. Like, for example, I remember this one mission where you would control Bowser and you had to eat a bunch of carrots at once, and I remember it being so difficult as a kid, I literally quit playing that game because of that. So possibly the DS library could be limited to games as like Pokemon, which aren't very reliant on the touchscreen, and possibly there could be some sort of on-screen menu that Nintendo would have to go in and add. But another idea is, what if Nintendo made DS Online handheld exclusive? Like, what if you held the Switch upright and you literally played it just like a DS, and possibly Nintendo would release a stylus accessory for like 20 bucks or something like that so that you could play DS games? I don't know, it's definitely a very tough one, but if they end up not doing DS Online, I think this would be the only thing that is really holding them back. And moving on here to the last console on this list, we have the Wii. Now, I think this one is pretty self-explanatory because we've seen Wii games obviously work on the Switch, with the Switch obviously having gyro in the Pro Controller, Joy-Cons, and etc. And honestly, I really loved how Galaxy controlled in 3D All-Stars, but I think the biggest issue with Wii games coming to the Switch is that everything before it has to happen, in my opinion. And for games like Super Mario Galaxy 2, where Nintendo is very, money hungry, lack of a better term, I guess, they could definitely release Galaxy 2 for $60 and people would buy it like crazy. Considering it wasn't in 3D All-Stars, this game is very sought after on the Switch, so I wouldn't be shocked if they just went that route instead. But regardless, the Wii has an amazing library. I mean, we've got Mario Kart Wii, the Wii Sports games, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, the two best Mario Sports games in my opinion being Mario Super Sluggers and Strikers Charged, the Metroid Prime trilogy, and so much more. But while I would love to see it, I think the most likely route is for Nintendo just to port games for $60 over to the Switch, as annoying as that seems. Now, moving on past the consoles, let's talk about themes. Now, this has to be one of the most boneheaded moves Nintendo has honestly ever made on the Switch. This has been talked about in the community for so long on why is Nintendo not releasing themes. I mean, literally it's a JPEG on your home screen. I mean, even the 3DS had them. So it's just insane to think that Nintendo still has not done this yet. And I'll repeat myself again from, I'm sure other videos that you've watched. There literally is a themes button in the Switch settings. It's literally there. So it's just free money for Nintendo, and I'm just so confused on why they still haven't done this. You can literally release themes for like 99 cents in the eShop and people will buy it, whether it be just a plain image or animated. This is something that's been sought after by the community for so long. And moving on here to the final point, why is this taking so long? I mean, there was a recent report coming out as Microsoft and Sony have been going at battle on who is going to acquire Activision. Nintendo was brought up and Microsoft actually revealed that Nintendo made $1 billion from the first year of Switch Online. And if you're making $1 billion, your online service should be way better than this. So why could Nintendo be so behind? And I think I may have the answer. I think possibly a new Switch is on the way. Now, if we look at all of the Switch models historically, we have the original Switch coming out in 2017, the Switch Lite in 2019, and the Nintendo Switch OLED model coming out in 2021. And obviously the pattern there being every 2 years, there is a new Switch to be released. Meaning that as it's 2022 right now, possibly could we be getting the Switch 2 in 2023? Now, this would also explain Odyssey 2's kind of absence. I mean, we don't know if it exists or not, but with the first game being a huge success and there not being a new 3D Mario game since 2017 with Odyssey, maybe a new Switch could be somehow correlated to this. And with the first Switch, we saw that Breath of the Wild was on the Wii U and the Switch. So what if Tears of the Kingdom could release on the Switch and the Switch 2, and then Odyssey could be a Switch 2 exclusive? And that would be amazing. I mean, thinking about the Switch 2 is just such a fun concept always because of, the new graphical upgrades they could give us and all of the amazing games that come with that. So I'm definitely excited to see if there's a Switch 2 announcement imminent here. But let me know in the comments below if you agree with me. What is the real significance behind there being no significant update here? Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to hit that like and sub button. We're trying to hit 150,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So if you guys could pitch in and help us with that, much appreciated. So that's going to be it for the video, and this is PJ from the Switch Stop signing off. Peace.